Mr. Zollinger,
Here.
Ms. Boyden,
Here.
Mr. Strud, Mr. Lemieux,
Here.
Ms. Clevenger.
Okay, we have 3 out of 5 board members present, so that does constitute a quorum. What I want to stress to everyone here tonight, though, with every vote we take, it will take all 3 of us to pass any motion that is made. It's not 2-to-1 majority, it's 3-0. So we have a quorum, but if anybody, with the applicant who's here tonight, I'll address him or her specifically. You cannot win on a 2-to-1 majority. You have to win on a 3-0 for any of us to pass anything. So with that said, we'll go ahead and review and approve or vote on the minutes from our May 24th, 2022 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from May 24th, 2022?
So moved.
I'll second that. And we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote.
Ms. Boyden. Approved. Mr. Lemieux,
Approved.
Approved. The minutes are approved as submitted. We'll go ahead now to the adjudications part of our agenda. I'll go ahead and announce what that is. And we'll get moving on.
application number 22 NC ZBOA -0002 Maple Street Commerce LLC, 334 Orchard Avenue Northeast, North Canton, Ohio, 44720. A variance request to exceed 30% maximum lot coverage set forth in NC0 and NCO section 1139.04, parent B, and schedule 1139.04 to allow for a replat application.
Okay, thank you. Let me explain how this is going to work especially for those of you who have not been to one of these meetings. This is a hearing. It's not just a meeting. We take action. It's almost like, it's similar to a court proceeding in a way. We have a court reporter over here taking down everything everybody is saying. Anyone who's going to speak in favor of or as opposed to an application or just commentary, you're going to have to raise your right hand and take an oath and swear that everything you say is the truth. So you're going to be under oath. Any time you respond to a question that anybody here has, make sure you give that answer verbally. Yes, no, I don't know. Avoid shaking of the head. It makes her job a lot harder when you do that. I tend to ask a lot of questions, and other members will ask questions also possibly. So it's also important that we not talk over one another. You'll have every opportunity to respond to any questions, and so it's just important that we talk one at a time. Again, it makes her job a lot easier. So we'll start by having we'll have the applicant talk, a person on behalf of the applicant, give a presentation and then answer any questions we have. And then I'll open the floor to anyone else who wants to talk or have anything to say about it. And with that, what I will do is anyone who plans on speaking tonight, and even if you aren't sure, go ahead and stand up and raise your right hand, face the court reporter, and she will swear you in.
Do solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. All right, thank you, everyone. So what I'll do is we'll start with the applicant. If the person who's going to be speaking on behalf of this application can, you want them at the podium? Is it easier to hear? Yeah, okay, so go ahead. You can stand at the podium back there. Start by giving your full name and your address and who you're here on behalf of, and then we'll take it from there.
Jeff Martin with Industrial Commercial Properties, 675 Parkland Boulevard, Solon, Ohio. It's 44130. So I'm here on behalf of the joint venture that district, which is Industrial Commercial Properties, my company ICP, and IRG, which and appreciate the board ready to find the unit here this evening. Nice night. We are working on T-bolt expansion of the current facility, which has been underway for almost a year now. Get all the site work, soil remediation, it's been ongoing. So it's been an ongoing effort, and I think one thing that we want to stress, turn the corner on this project, and seen the steel that's been erected for the structure. Those of you that are in the neighborhood probably have seen it closer than you thought it was going to be. So it's an exciting project to really cement deep hold in the community for a long period of time. Given the hybrid work model, we're uncertain the exact number of people employed, to work at this facility. So exciting in that regard. I want to just make the case this evening for you all that lot split parcel that was consolidated last year. And that was done March of 2021, so in that time frame. And it's actually done ran afoul of a lender agreement that we had.
It ran about,
A lender agreement that we had with existing lender, it's an existing building for people. It's a lender situation where we have a CMBS lender on the property, so commercial mortgage-backed security loan that got collateralized and syndicated to. So it's very hard to make changes to that collateral. So we are now unwinding some of that action that was taken last year. The lender has agreed to release certain control of the land portion, but they won't take on additional collateral in connection with the expansion building. So it has us in a situation where we're out trying to find. We have a loan agreement in place with a new lender to help finalize the T-Mobile expansion. So think of the building to the north that's being erected right now as having its own loan, and the existing building having a loan. With the CMBS lender that is really sacrosanct and tough to change. So what we're doing now is trying to create a new parcel, basically splitting the existing parcel in half, which also frees up some flexibility down the road for some school board conversations that we've had to potentially parcel off some of that land to the school district in connection with the athletic facility master plan that they have. So that's this kind of awkward situation that we're in tonight, and why we're here for the board. Answer additional questions, provide more color.
Yeah, I think we need to go back to the beginning a little bit, because some of us don't really know exactly what led up to this, because I'm guessing in my head what happened. So when I look at this page that's up here now, you're looking at the expansion is going along Orchard Avenue to the north of the existing building, right? That's what you're talking about. The work's already started on it. That.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know if you have this in your package.
Yeah. Yeah, the red outline, I think it might be the next page down or something. Yeah, right there. There you go. Okay, so now the new parcel you created or split is this outlot blank, right? The old parcel used to do this thing where it went around like in a horseshoe pattern around. Is that right?
Correct. That's the current parcel.
Okay, and the reason you had to split it was because of the banks are making you do it? Is that what I'm getting,
Yes,
basically?
CMBS lender on. Can I go to the screen and point?
Yes. Yeah.
My card for you then.
I'm just typing what you're saying.
So the CMBS lender had control of the parcel that went basically to this point and across historically. And last year we consolidated it with this horseshoe-shaped parcel.
Okay,
And we weren't allowed to do that. So we're now in a situation where we're backtracking a little bit to try and appease that lender, and then not run afoul of those loan docs.
okay, so now with the smaller lot, you're gonna make it instead of the 30%, you're gonna be at like 56%.
Correct, we're exceeding the max lot coverage, which Marty and I have discussed. Some of the challenges with this site is there's a lot of different parcel lines, and, you know, parking areas are the same parcel as the building, so it's a little deceptive from the max lot coverage, because Diebold does have control of some of the parking lots across Orchard and
So the footprint we see now of what's being built, is that gonna get any bigger? Or is it gonna be, is that basically the footprint of what's being built?
yeah, that's the footprint, and then there's new stormwater retention ponds that have been created north of the
Okay,
expansion. So the
Yeah.
parcel is being drawn just to the east of those new storm.
okay. And what's gonna go on with lot number 423 and 371? And is that something, is that what you're talking about with the schools?
So 423 actually falls very closely to the outline parcel that the school district would like in connection with their athletic master plan.
Okay,
So we provide them access from some town street into the parcel so they could get to the facility from 7th Street and
and what are they thinking of doing there? You know,
10. And I'm sure that able to share. I mean, I would hope that's community
well,
shared with the community.
what I don't wanna see is another giant building going in there. If we're gonna grant a variance for a big addition on a small, you know what I mean? I mean, the reason this was okay before was it was one parcel and you could only put one thing in there, you were fine with the 30%. I don't wanna see another giant building that, I don't know, I mean, it's just, I guess I would, I don't say I don't wanna see it, I'm just, that's a concern I have, I guess, when I look at this.
Understood, and I did get a call from just, you know, at this time, and we have no intention of developing. Rule lot. I mean, I don't know what the future holds, I mean, never say never, but it's certainly not separate.
Okay. Okay, yeah, cause you get, okay, you're, the companies that are part of your, or one of them, or Maple Street owns this lot over here, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
so Maple Street Commerce is the entity that is in that joint venture with IRG and IC.
Okay.
The master plan, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is more for fields, parking, upgrading everything and better access. So what the schools wanted to do,
Yes.
because that was,
Okay,
we saw a presentation on it not that long ago.
yeah,
So it was,
Yes,
yeah,
so there's
it was more to
no
beautify
housing
it,
concept.
and, yeah, because they're gonna update some of the older facilities.
okay.
We're still looking at that out for that, but
Okay.
yeah.
Anything else? Anybody have any other questions or anything?
No, I guess the one thing to piggyback, so Hoover, I still call it Hoover. Diebold has the parking ahead of it. But again, like you said, they're all just broken up into so many different parcels. So that's what makes it complicated when you talk about the encroachment of the 56%.
Yeah, I think if the parcels that parked on were included with building stormwater parcel, probably. I should have done that math before coming here, but I think we'd be close to that ratio the city ordinance requires.
Okay. Anything else? Any, and you got anything else?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer.
All right, if you,
questions.
yeah, well, if we have, anybody has, yeah, we might have more questions later, but for now, we'll, let's hear from some other people. So, and now, does anybody else want to speak in favor of the application or anything like that? If not, I'll open the floor to whoever else, and everybody will get a chance to speak, so go ahead and next, whoever wants to can go ahead and approach the podium. Go ahead and just, again, state your name and your address.
Jason Schuker, 241 Fifth Street Northeast.
Can you spell last name?
SCHUCKERT.
Okay, Mr. Sugar, you live on Fifth Street?
Yes, right on the corner of Fifth and Park.
Okay,
I've got a few reservations concerning with, like, you know, I understand progress, but you do have like a bad feeling or like a gut feeling like I'm gonna be looking at another building. So I don't know, like, it's just a little concerning to me.
let me ask,
It concerns me with the property values.
yeah, like, your property, Fifth and Park, so you're over on you're east of all this, right?
I'm on the north side of it.
North
He's right on the corner.
Yeah.
corner of this house. Oh, okay. All right, yeah.
So this is the aerial view of the expansion footprint for people, and then the stormwater thing created. So, and hopefully,
Okay, so we're at,
underground detention or something in the future, you really.
Wait, okay, I'm sorry, Jeff, I can't hear you, I gotta hear what you're saying.
So it's really hard to put a building closer to the residential neighborhood given the storm. So
okay,
any building would have to be
Oh, it's-
in that new lot line. So be further to the east, close to the ball fields, if you're ever to do that.
okay, understood. And like the land, there's landscaping plans for trees or something?
Yeah, so we have, well, there is some additional buffers, there's some existing
Yeah.
landscaping today, but we're gonna supplement if there's any gaps that are created.
Okay, okay. That helps.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? Go ahead, Dan.
I didn't swear in.
Oh, go ahead and she'll swear you in.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
I would like to know what they're going
Well,
to.
Wait,
just provide your name
Name
first.
and address.
And that of 232 6th Street, Northeast. Okay.
Okay, just make sure you, speak, you have questions for somebody, just go ahead and ask it, and then we'll, make sure everybody, we don't talk over one another. Go ahead.
Well, it's for the representatives of the company, so I don't know who they are.
Okay.
But I want to know if they're going to do something about the dust that's coming into my house constantly, daily, all over my furniture, all over my house. It's going to cost me $390 to get my house power washed. It's all over my car. I put my car in the garage, closed the door. I opened it this morning, had a car wash yesterday, dust all over my car. So that's one of the big things. And the other thing that's concerns of the neighbors, are there going to be egress and ingress on Park from this company? Like there's a fence there now, but they're worried that they're going to use Park for going in and out when they're going home from work or going into work or whatever. We've already got huge Coke trucks, Pepsi trucks, equipment trucks coming up 6th Street, going up the Park and turning right on 7th. Most of the time because they don't want to stop at the light at 7th. And I talked to one of the guys over by the pool and he said he comes by way of his GPS. And he was new and didn't know anything. I mean, the size of these trucks that are coming down our street are getting to be enormous. And it's tearing up 6th Street. Now, they just replaced 7th, but they have no plans for 6th Street or 5th Street. So I was wondering if they can do something about that, water it down or do something.
Okay. Do you want to address any of that?
So I was just out there, I just drove out there and saw the dust firsthand, and
You should have been there the other day.
Let's,
so, there are certain things that I can ask the construction team to
Right,
mat things down
Okay.
as much as possible.
yeah.
are you immediately north of the construction?
Yeah, Sixth is here, and Fifth is here, and then the construction.
Okay.
And I'm right on the end of Sixth, so we're right in the line of fire, yeah.
I promise
I
to
don't
talk to my
have
construction team and
Yeah.
figure
I
out a
don't
way.
have.
Okay, wait, hold on, everybody, guys, just make sure you don't interrupt each other, let each other talk. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm happy to bring that issue back to the construction team and see what we can do to,
Okay.
reduce the dust levels. We should be turning the quarter, and
Yeah,
that should start to, hopefully we can get a position where we're actually planting grass. Not a construction zone in the near future, and I can ask construction vehicles to circle around the building from the east as opposed to coming in around the north side, which would keep kind of the stirring of the dirt.
the biggest problem is I don't have air conditioning, so all my windows are open.
Okay.
That's one of the biggest problems.
Okay,
But my other neighbors that do have air conditioning, they can't open their windows because of all the dust. I am adjacent to it.
all right,
Thank you.
anything else? Anybody else would like to get up and speak? Go ahead, sir. Go ahead and provide your name, yeah. thank you.
Ed Woodgood, 417 Howard Street, Northeast, North Canton, 44720. My general concern is my backyard is behind the Hoover parking lot. And to give you an example, there was a pickup truck out there 2 or 3 weeks ago that was stolen from Alliance that tried to get through that lot and sunk in the marsh. So my backyard is a marsh. In the wintertime, I'll get maybe a 1/4 inch of frozen, everything else is mud. And it also, in the summer, I can go down in the basement and jump up and down on my basement and get water up through the cracks. My concern is the runoff from all this building and construction. What's that gonna do for my property? And, if I did decide to sell sometime, how will that deter that from being sold? I'm generally concerned about that. Now, I talked when they had the variance for the first building, and they promised, there was no water going that way. I understand that, and you talking about runoff ponds, where are those runoff ponds going to be? Because I got this letter and said it's gonna be within 200 feet of my house. That's a little concerning.
Well, yeah, the letter, the property, the parcel, this whole thing
Yeah.
is within 200 feet of your house. It's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Martin, the pond, and you can show him if you want on the diagram. The pond is gonna be up toward, Fifth Street. Am I right on that?
Due north of the building extension room.
Okay.
I'll also note, in connection with the T-Bold expansion, improving those gravel parking lots, so they will now have pavement and landscaping and some stormwater detention capability, which they have right now. Gravel lots. And we are aware, blocked culvert heading west towards Main Street that has flooded out Orchard Street at times too, so we're gonna try and clean that up as part of that. So we will clean that up.
Good.
So you're down.
I'm down. I'm
you're
not exactly
down
sure.
east.
We're east of the Hoover plant on Howard, which is where the fire station is. We're east of the fire. My main concern.
Okay,
Yeah, appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
thank you, sir. Anybody else? Yes. Go ahead.
These comments swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
My name is Megan Travers, APUS, I'm at 237 Bed Street Northeast. I just wanted to reiterate a concern that Jason had brought up, that it was just kind of briskly put over that there was going to be additional landscaping put in. I just wanted to have on record my concern. Landscaping is one thing, trees are important to us, because outside of my front door is the building. So there's one thin line of trees dividing my house from seeing the building outside the front door, which is again about the property value concern of mine. So landscaping is great, but I want to make sure that there's trees to hide the fact that there's a building right in front of my house. I guess I just wanted that to be stated on record because I heard Jason's concern. I have the same concern and I heard the word landscaping. So I just want to make sure that there's actually trees and not shrubbery, you know, so I'm not seeing the building.
It's a good point. I don't know if there's a landscaping plan that you could, you don't, I might not have it here, but might want to, or do you have an idea of what they were gonna plant or?
You know, this aerial does show our landscaping plan, but I don't know how legible it is for everyone to read, or it doesn't even list the species next to it, so I probably want to just follow up and provide that separately.
Okay.
So you're on the north side of Pitt Street as well?
Yes, I'm right next door to Jason's
Okay.
house.
Okay.
I'd be happy to meet you out there too, to see kind of what the sight lines look like.
Because currently, if I sit on my front porch, I can see through the very thin layer of trees and see the building, which is fine. I don't have a problem with the building being constructed. The problem I have is seeing that in the future, if I were to sell my home, that's going to definitely bring down the value of my home.
Okay, well, yeah, I hope, yeah, I would encourage you all to work together on that. I mean, this is to attract the workers that they want to attract. I would imagine they're going to want to put something in there that's, you know, it's going to have to be even from their vantage point, something that's nice. But I obviously, yeah, I encourage you guys to work together on that. Because that is certainly a question I've got about it. I mean, we want something that's going to look nice, even though it's light industrial. That's what it's zoned. You know, we're trying to move on from just being a heavy industry.
I just know when I moved in, there was my house, the street, trees, a retention pond, and then the building, you know, now there's a building. So
Yeah.
that's all my concern.
Okay. When is the construction supposed to be done?
I think it's October, mid-October.
Okay. Of this
Still
year.
ways off.
Well, it seems like forever. You know, it seems like a long time now, but then when it's over, it's over. So, okay, anybody else?
I don't
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
know. What is going in there?
It's an expansion of Diebold Mixedor's facility, so they are actually consolidating multiple locations that they have across the region into North Canton.
These
Well,
are,
At first, we were told it was just going to be a warehouse.
No, I mean,
Which
it's
what they're
a
going to do now
manufacturer.
is going to be a lot of noise.
I don't know the noise levels. I'm not expecting any exterior
Okay,
noise levels.
So-
I can ask people.
I already get a lot now,
so the type of,
but they have to start at 6 because of the temperature. You hear that big staple, whatever they're doing to put the roof down. And I have not, we're not, they have to do it, it's not their, I'm getting all the.
the type of jobs that are gonna be housed there, are they white collar jobs, so to speak, or are they office jobs, or are they,
It's a mix of white collar, blue collar type jobs.
Okay.
And it's, I don't know what the ratio of the job split is, but I mean, this is their main manufacturing and
okay,
industrial facility.
okay, so yeah, it's like a plant essentially,
Yes.
but, okay,
Yep, so they're
but not a steel plant.
manufacturing new like technologies in connection with the ATM business.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have anything? Anybody have any questions? The board? Anyone?
So essentially, I guess, it's moving forward with this is contingent on this funding.
It's safe to say that there could be additional challenges with the lender that would stop the project
Yeah.
if we can't figure this out. Not put too much pressure on the situation.
No, I mean, that just, I mean, I read the letter and obviously that's my industry, so I know how diligent they are about how things are parceled out.
Yeah. Will construction stop if we don't grant the variance? Do you have any idea?
May not immediately, but it likely would have a impact to the schedule, as we've talked about.
Okay. Do you have anything on, any thoughts or?
I do, thank you. A couple things. At the start of the project, this was reviewed as far as zoning goes, as well as building. The parcel before we started, as Mr. Martin had indicated, this parcel was much smaller than it is currently and what is proposed, in fact. The property line as it was before this construction started was, if you're looking at the red box on the addition, it would be just south of the northern edge of that red line. So the property line that's in the middle.
See that?
Yeah, approximately where that drawn in line is there. So the parcel did not meet zoning when we started this project. As part of that zoning review, that comment came up. That property line was removed, thereby consolidating two of these outlots to create the larger outlot that is there. And as Mr. Martin has indicated, of course, we encountered the conflict presented by the mortgage holder on the properties there. We have worked through several ideas, if you will, of how to address this. This seems to be the most workable solution that we have come to so far. Mr. Martin did indicate that there is some parking that's not shown on this. It's approximately 4 acres that would add to this open space that does get encumbered with this approach. The perimeter of the parcel that will have the building on it currently, but with short of that new property line, the other property lines remain. So one of the things I'd like to address as well is if or when a future project comes forward, that will come through the same review, which currently requires at the very least planning commission review. So if there are any additional buildings, on the adjacent parcels, particularly in the industrial zoning, which this parcel is zoned industrial, would require a planning commission review. So there is extensive review that these projects go through. On that, I did want to give some numbers to it, just so we're looking at the numbers. We're based on the permits, the building permits. The existing building is 182,000 square feet, 282 feet. The addition was 135,460 square feet. So approximately a total of 317,742 square feet. So that puts us approximately 11 acres shy, not considering the parking. So this, as I mentioned, this approach puts us much closer than where it was, and some of the options that were discussed leading up to this. The other thing I'd like to address is, on the drainage, that was addressed as part of the first part of the project through planning commission before coming to the ZBOA. And I believe particularly that parking to the west, and Mr. Martin had indicated that there was identified a catch basin that is obstructed, and they've agreed to address that. But the parking will also mitigate much of the drainage as it is. There's curbs that go at the perimeter, so the adjoining neighbors should not be incurring the storm drainage that they are today, as it will be controlled, it will be managed. This project has gone through the Stark Soil and Water Review, where they review the project for water quality as well as water quantity in regards to the storm. And part of that review is that stormwater basin that is northeast corner of the addition. On the open portion of that, and as well as the landscaping is also reviewed to the zoning code. And the other thing, the truck traffic should not be in the residential streets. So if that is occurring, I mean, we always recommend work with the property owner, but if you get to a point where you're not getting a solution there, I also oversee the property maintenance. I brought some cars here. I'm happy to mediate or intervene and help work towards a solution on that. So there are alternatives, particularly through the property maintenance. Now, I will say the property owner as well as the tenant has been very responsive. So I suspect if I do have to get involved from that point of view, it would more than likely be a conversation. We could quickly get to a resolution in most cases. And that goes for the dust as well. That should not be seeing the dust, and we do encounter that with the heavy equipment, and particularly we've had that heat wave. It dries out the dirt pretty quickly, but there is mitigation for that too that would help alleviate that as well. But as I understand, Mr. Martin will be addressing that with the contractors on site as well. Let's see, I think that's my report.
All right, thank you. Yeah, well, since, I guess for me personally, it's just me speaking, not the board. I'm inclined to grant this variance because the construction's already started and the footprint's not gonna get any bigger than what it is. As far as the landscaping and all of that, I've encouraged everyone, the applicant to be a good neighbor and, work with everybody on sight lines and things like that. It is true with zoning, there has to be so much vegetation planted. When you do a project like this, there are requirements for that, so hopefully that will get taken care of. The only thing I would want to stress, for me personally, sometimes when we make these decisions and we grant these variances, they have what's called precedential value, meaning, well, they can come back later and say, well, now we want it for this lot because you gave it for this lot. Well, I will tell you in this instance, I just want the record to reflect that I don't see this as precedent setting for any adjacent lot and what might happen. To the extent something might come before this board in the future for an adjacent lot, if something similar to like this was requested for an adjacent lot, I would have deep concerns about granting that, because then you would really be crowding out this area. But that would depend a lot on what was being built and what it was being used for, and green space and all of that. So I just want to make sure that it's clear that I can't speak for the planning commission, but for this board, any more variance requests that are made with respect to this property, I don't want this to be seen as a precedent for anything in the future. We'll have to just take it as a case-by-case basis and examine it and figure out if it makes sense, or figure out if that request makes sense or not in and of itself. With that said, I'm inclined to grant this variance, but I would like to hear what thoughts.
I agree with you. I mean, the construction's already built in the finance industry. If a bank pulls out, you're gonna be looking at an empty building for a lot longer than any of us have wanted to for a very long time. Brings jobs to our community, cleans up what has been a desolate parking area for a very long time. To your point, you work together with the landscaping, vegetation, make sure it appeases. ZBOA is a huge name, and I think personally we're blessed to have it brought to the city for numerous reasons. But yes, to your point as well, it's not really a precedent we're setting, it's definitely an accommodation to ensure that this project gets done. So I think we've all been waiting for movement over there. So I'm inclined as well.
Yeah, I would agree with both members. And I would actually commend both sides. I think the residents and neighbors have been very accepting. And the things that you're concerned or asking for, in my opinion, are very minor. And I would encourage IRG and ICP to continue to work with them and be good neighbors as well. So, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I add something?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I want to thank you all for coming forward and sharing your thoughts and concerns. And I know we've been patiently waiting for the development of the Hoover District, let alone the further addition to Depot next door. I do see that possibly as the signature business coming into North Canton. The other thing too is Mr. Martin has addressed it about the egress and ingress. Right now, we're working on trying to widen the intersection at Charlotte and Main. And also not only to on Charlotte, but also on the east side, so that any of the future employees leaving will have easier access to get onto Main Street rather than going through the neighborhoods. And I get that. And well, I don't know if I can prevent all that, but we are working on getting assistance from the state in improving that intersection there. And of course, working with ICP on the water issue right there off of Orchard. We all know where that kind of fills up right there. That is clogged, and in cooperation, if I'm correct, that's something that we definitely want to look at with new curbs and gutters and of course, the parking spaces to be blacktopped and managing the runoff there. But there are some things there that we're looking at, for the future. And what was your anticipated date?
Hopefully end of October.
Very good. Jeff has been shy a little bit too. From what our discussions too, coming in there would be research and development and engineering. I've talked to some employees that are working remotely even, or even up in Hudson, and half the workforce is coming to North Canton from their former site there at Mayfair. Their headquarters now is in Hudson, and there's probably 300 to 400 employees up there, if I'm close on that figure. So when it goes back to white collar, we're looking at that. But there, of course, right now, there is some shipping going on. And we're concerned about the trucks coming in too. And I believe Howard might be an access, also up to where their loading docks will be on the east side of the building. So just my 2 cents and an observation, but those are things that we're definitely looking at. And we are in the process of trying to get things in order so that we can improve that intersection. And then also, when I say that, that's going to help when the potential of the pre-K school being developed. We need to make accommodation for buses and traffic going into the school. So you're looking at that intersection coming from the north and you've got to turn west. That means the Spitzer building might be coming down, and if we're fortunate with that. Just some food for thought as we go forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right, well, if there's no more discussion, then I'll call the question. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the variance?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and second to approve the variance. That means a yes vote, which means a variance. This variance will go through. So go ahead and call the roll, please.
Mr. Lemire?
Yes.
Ms. Sturgeon?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, the variance is granted. So that concludes that portion of the adjudication hearing. If there's no further business before the board, I'll take a voice vote to adjourn. Move to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's it. Okay, we are concluded for this evening. Thank